The start of the playoffs begins here at Bristol Motor Speedway. Hello, my name is Christian Delgado, your lead broadcaster, and in the booth with me tonight I have Gavin Austin. How are you doing tonight, Gavin?
I'm great, Christian. Very happy to see this first playoff race. It's beginning this playoff run for a lot of these drivers, and I'm excited to see how it's going to turn out for everyone tonight. It's going to be interesting, short track racing. We're going to see some wrecks. We're going to see some nice green flag racing. It's going to be interesting tonight.
The SSR Sweet Tea Gang Truck Series, starts their playoff race here at Bristol. One of the more difficult tracks that you're going to see on the schedule. I wouldn't say difficult in the wise of skill. It's just difficult in running consistent laps and getting into a rhythm here, because one little mistake here, the truck can get loose, the truck can get tight, and you can either spin it out or really get up there into the wall and definitely damage that truck a lot more than you want.
Yeah, very interesting. We've seen a couple drivers, lose it, even on entry here during practice. So, we're going to see drivers, take it a little bit easy. It's definitely going to be interesting. I guess you can call this short track multi-groove. You can rip the top, the middle, the bottom. It's definitely going to be interesting to see how some of these drivers choose to run. The top is the fastest, but you'll burn your stuff a little bit more up there. So, it all comes down to strategy at the end of the night.
Yeah, strategy is going to be a huge thing that we're going to be talking about here, Gavin. You talked about the top being faster, but I feel like, a lot of people say the bottom saves tires the best here. You might not be able to run as fast as you can on the top, but you will, conserve the tires a little bit more, conserve the equipment a little bit more, and then in that way, you can kind of drive your way up through the field once everybody burns their stuff up.
Guys, we're watching 15 running his last couple practice laps in that Chevy machine. We're approaching 2 minutes and 30 seconds left of practice. So practice now beginning to come to a close and qualifying pretty soon here. So once again, we're watching trucks make the last couple practice laps on track right now.
That's Colin Johnston in the 15. Currently, P4 practice, you're going to see him knock down that tire wall in front of the pit road there, but sitting P4 in practice, so looking to be a potential favorite here at Bristol.
Yeah, very interesting. See, some of these times so far, we really only have one driver who's set a lap in the 14.5s, and that's Joe Hudson in the 49 machine. So great lap by him. And right behind him is John Ross running a 14.609. So, it's still close times. We're seeing a lot of close times here on track right now, but there's a couple drivers that are a little bit off, but it wouldn't shock me if they're up there in the front at the end of the night.
Yeah, Joe has really shown himself to be one of the better, short track drivers here in the truck series. Always been up there, he was up for an IRP, and when he won there, he's been up there for a lot of these short tracks. John Ross, obviously our league owner, just running laps for the fun of it. But then Colin Johnston, kind of surprising me and probably surprising a lot of the field here. Even beating some of your points leader of Lane Phillips. You see, McKellar back there in P9. You expect him to be a top three driver, but Colin right now with a best time of a 14.6, really showing that he does have the pace here to maybe be competitive here at Bristol.
He's now coming out of pit road to take his last couple laps. We're watching Joe Hudson there for a second, who is fastest on the board right now. But once again, like Christian said, that 15 definitely trying to get it done today. Very fast, it's going to be fun to watch him tonight. I think he has a good shot at possibly ending up in victory lane.
Yeah, someone to look at as maybe an upset winner here. I don't know if Colin is in the playoffs, but you saw it last week with the SSR Cup Series, where a non-playoff driver won the race there in the first round of the playoffs at Atlanta with Brandon Massey. He came out there and stole one from all the Cup drivers there. So maybe Colin can come back here and do the same thing here in the trucks.
Yeah, definitely going to be interesting as practice is beginning to wrap up here. Just 10 seconds left. Qualifying getting ready to start now, as we're going to see the trucks beginning it to set their laps here at Bristol. So very, very interesting here. Once again, first playoff race of the year. here at Bristol. We'll see Lane Phillips, a bunch of the other fast drivers up front early on in qualifying. It's definitely going to be interesting. I'm excited to see who's going to get it done here tonight.
Yeah, I mean, qualifying is going to be huge here. Just Bristol, with how difficult it is to pass here, qualifying is definitely going to be very important with when it comes to giving yourself an opportunity to run up front and to stay maybe even ahead of the carnage here. You know, Bristol, especially on the iRacing side, tends to be kind of a wreck fest sometimes when there's some inexperienced drivers and some people just not knowing when to be patient and stuff. So it's definitely
Ooh, William
gonna be.
McKellar on his first lap goes into the outside wall.
You see McKellar struggling already early in this run. That just really shows how hard these drivers are gonna push these trucks to get everything they can out of the truck. Like as I mentioned before, what I was trying to mention before, track position is going to be key here for Bristol with how difficult it is to pass, how difficult it is to, get around people. And if you do want to pass someone, you do have to burn up your tires a lot more than the guy you're probably trying to get around is. So you're going to see all these guys trying to push as hard as they can.
Yeah, it's definitely second lap here in qualifying. So, you'll see a lot of drivers pushing it as hard as they can. Like, William McKellar has to push as hard as he can this lap since he wrecked on his first lap. So, trying to get it done as William McKellar finishes that lap, ends up getting to 15:012. So, that wraps him up third at the moment in that 75 Chevy machine. But a bunch of those drivers going for that second lap to try to get as much speed as they can. But we've seen problems for multiple drivers on the first lap. William McKellar, one of those drivers, have those problems.
Looking at the 78 of Barry Stevens right now on it. Just finished his laps here with a 15.333, and that'll put him P7. So not the laps he wants to put together, but honestly not too bad. Right now sitting in the top 10.
Yeah, great job by Barry. You're not the fastest out there, but to finish both your laps, we've seen some drivers who haven't been able to finish both their laps because they had incidents. So great job, finishing both those laps for Barry Stevens. Even though it's, once again, not the lap you probably wanted, but at the end of the day, you've completed your lap. Currently 7th on the board. Great job by him. Brendan Honeycutt, though, makes his way up to 2nd.
Looking at Lane Phillips here, coming into the playoffs P2. He actually lost that points lead to Joe Hudson after that,
Big
chaotic
slide.
thing. And yeah, a huge slide from Lane. That's the second driver we've seen in qualifying have a mistake there. So now Lane's going to kind of have to do the same thing McKellar did. He's going to have to really get it done here on the second lap here. No time to warm the tires up now. You're going to have to push right out the gate.
He has to realize that it's one shot. You want to at least finish a lap, so he probably should take it at least a little bit easy. But as he's actually gonna reset, I'm not sure. I think he got an unsafe pit exit there, but gonna have to do it again. But now we're watching that Toyota machine. I believe that is the 10 of James Smith. It is James Smith on his first lap here. You see him going into turn 3 and 4 now on his first lap. He's running good. That top line, trying to carry as much speed as he can. We'll see where this puts him as. Oh, he takes a slide, but he does cross the line at first. Puts him 4th. So 14.980 for James Smith. 4th on the board. Won't be able to do his second lap, though. But still, top 5 qualifying for him. Lane Phillips now on his lap, trying to get it done. We'll see where it puts him. He takes also a slide off of turn 4. Lane Phillips, though, goes P2 with a 14.826. Great lap by him. Messed up on his first lap and came back and did a great job. So great job. Props to Lane Phillips and that number 6 Ford machine.
Yeah, Colin Johnson now on his starting his laps here. We know he's going to be quick here. Going to complete this lap, 15:07 for his out lap. Now we're going to see this is going to be the heater lap here. You can see him rip the wall here. As Gavin said, the fastest way around the track here. Coming out of 3 and 4.
Looks really fast. As he'll go P2, and Joe Hudson jumps up to that first position.
Yeah, Joe Hudson, we always seem to miss him when he qualifies right now. He's going to be the upholstery 14.606. Colin Johnston 14.693. So just a little slower than Joe right here, right now. I think that will round out your qualifying right now. Russell Martin, the last person that hasn't qualified here, with just under 20 seconds to go here in qualifying.
Those front 2 positions, Joe Hudson and Colin Johnson, are 2/10 ahead from that 3rd place driver right now. Ira Colas, who set a 14.8. Both those front two drivers made their way into the 6, so great job by them. Definitely showing that they have the speed to win, a little bit faster, but once again, now watching the 13 finishing his laps as he, oh, just won't get there in time, just barely. Um, Man, he's still 5th though. He's still 5th.
Yeah. P5 for that number 13 of Brandon Honeycutt, so nothing to complain about here. But as we get ready, as we let all these trucks start the grid on pit road, onto the track here, we'll go ahead and try to get your starting lineup underway here. So Joe Hudson going to be your pole sitter here in that number 49 machine with Colin Johnston, P2. Look out for him to maybe be an upset winner here. Ira Colas in that number 29 going to be P3 with Lane Phillips, playoff contender here in the P4 position. Brandon Honeycutt in that number 13 is going to start in P5 with Brandon Sanfilippo, P6. P7 is going to be James Smith at number 10 machine with William McKellar rounding out your top 8.
In 9th is Bryce Dickinson, and on his outside is Sam Colas in that 10th position, so rounding out the top 10 right there, Sam. In 11th is Barry Stevens, and in 12th is Ty Dickinson, and rounding off our last driver in this field is Russell Martin, who will be starting 13th. So he chose not to qualify. He will be starting the rear end of the pack, but it is Bristol. Anything can happen, so would not count him out of this at all. Definitely this early on. We got 225 laps, long race. A lot of stuff could happen, so wouldn't call Russell Martin, out of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly not the stupidest move that you could do is starting in the back. With only 13 trucks, I mean, he's not really losing a lot of track position, right? If there were, 20, 30, 35 trucks, then maybe, starting in the back could definitely put you in a rough spot, especially if some of the trucks in front of you are slower and it's harder to pass them, then it puts you in a big risk of going a lap down early. But with 13 trucks gridding up here at Bristol, I don't think that's really the worst idea, is just starting in the back, trying to keep that truck clean and, hopefully can get out of the carnage early, because with Bristol, we know Bristol, how tough it is to tame. Definitely carnage can easily start to unfold here.
Definitely interesting. Pace car starting to pull off. It will be a Chevy front row. Like Christian said, it's going to be a strategy. We're going to see, I think we're going to see a little bit of carnage then and there, because it is a short track. Definitely Bristol at the end of the day, the great Coliseum. So very, very interesting. I'm excited to see how this race is going to play out here tonight.
Yeah, 225 laps. It gives these drivers a lot of time to figure out what they want to do. Obviously, green flag pit stops will have to be a thing here unless, the cautions fall at the right time here. But once again, lights are off on the pace car, but we are going to do another lap here, looks like. But yeah, Joe Hudson, your points leader, your pole sitter, and then I think the next person who is in line for the championship is going to be that 29 of Ira Colas and then Lane Phillips. So yeah, Colin Johnson not in the playoffs. So once again, big storyline. He could come up here and upset some of these playoff drivers who have raced a lot of these races and have really earned this playoff spot. But you see that 15 looking really fast on that outside line.
Well, the pace car is ready to hook a hard left on the pit road. Once again, it will be a Chevy front row. Joe Hudson versus Colin Johnson. And we're going to give it to Joe to lead us on to this green flag here.
Coming out of 4, the 15 on the outside, trying to look for that lead there, but Joe Hudson's going to run that bottom and clear the 15 for that P2 spot. Battle for the P5 spot.
In the back, one car around. I believe that is the first car that went around was James Smith. Sam Colas is involved, and Russell Martin might have been involved in it as well. I did see the 10 car go around in the back, as we are going to take a replay, or look at the replay. Sorry for interrupting you there, Christian. But we are looking at, you see the 10 around. Ooh, we see that Ford machine, the 84, Bryce Dickinson. Got a little bit of damage from it too.
Yeah, definitely a brown pants moment for that 84 machine. Just not could definitely be a voice for that 84, but you just see the 10 just kind of get loose and losing on his own there, and unfortunately collect a couple of cars with him. Easy to deal with the cold tires here at Bristol, especially in the truck with the new update. They definitely made the truck harder to drive. So easy to do that. Easy to just loop it around here with these cold tires.
Luckily, I don't see really any heavy damage on really any of those trucks. The one truck I see that really has the most damage is that 28 machine of Sam Colas. He has a lot of front left damage, but he is deciding to stay out as we see the 10 now go in. So some of those cars involved deciding to stay out here at Bristol. It's actually, I think the 28 machine is going in now. But very, very interesting. First yellow very early on.
Yeah, I mean that's something we aren't surprised to see, right? With how this race is and how the track is, it just really promotes aggressive driving or aggressive racing, and it's so easy to just drive the truck and just that a little bit too much and have it stepped out and around that truck's gonna go, and you just exactly what happened to the 10 with James Smith. He drove it in a little bit too hard, tried to save it, but unfortunately just truck was just way too out from underneath him.
Lane Phillips, so making his way up to that third position right now. Great job by him making one position so far. But like Christian said, we saw Colin after that restart was ripping that outside lane, kind of got the nose out in front, but Joe came right back on the inside and kept the lead. So very interesting how we're seeing that outside work at the moment. You know, it's faster, but you know, still very early on. But we've seen the inside prevail so far.
Exactly. The inside, we saw Joe really like the inside and run it, but we know that the top can work here at Bristol. We saw Colin try to use it, but I think, you know, right now with only 6 complete here, 225, it's still a long race. Expected to be around an hour and a half-ish here, so still a long ways for these drivers to go. Still, I mean, they have to keep this truck clean. No fasty pace here for the Sweet Tea Gang Truck Series, so they have to continue to race clean around each other, keep that truck clean. You see Joe Hudson like the top here as the lights go off on the pace car.
Yeah, so Joe will be starting on the top. Colin will go to that inside lane. Just like Christian said, pace car lights are off. We are getting ready to go back green here. Chevy versus Chevy once again. I'm gonna hand it to Christian here to bring us back to the green flag.
Yeah, same top two on the front row there, and also same third and fourth. Just everybody kind of swap places here as Chevy front row, Chevy Ford second row here is your pass four. Pace car is going to take the hard left turner in the Geico restart zone, and Joe Hudson's going to lead us back to green.
Joe with a huge jump.
Yeah, huge jump, and it actually allowed Ira to get a huge jump with him. Pulling not the best start from the inside here, and he's going to get pressure from that 13 machine.
Lane Phillips also not the start he wanted. He was lined up behind Colin, dropping back to that 5th position now, letting Brandon Honeycutt by, or I should say Brandon Honeycutt did pass him by, get into that 4th position.
I see McKellar, the first truck up there trying to rip the top here, going to get side by side with the 6 here. I think he's going to clear and put McKellar up to that P5 spot.
McKellar's still ripping the outside lane, trying to get up to the front. He's now on the outside of Brandon, going to turn 3 and 4 now. You see that 75 is super fast compared to that inside lane, but it does burn up your tires a little bit more. But only McKellar now up to that 4th position.
Yeah, that really shows right there how dynamic the track can be and how much harder you can really push the truck here compared to some of these other drivers. You see him easily get
another wreck in the back. I believe it was Bryce Dickinson. Yes, it was heavy contact for Bryce Dickinson in the outside wall and turn. I believe that is 4. I saw him go around. So we're looking at the replay now to see exactly what happened. You see the 16 of San Filippo behind him, and oh, he just loses it all on his own. Tried to save and couldn't. Locked it up though. Very minimum damage to that rear end. Almost got hit. I believe that might have been the 28 going by him. I'm not exactly sure, but luckily a little bit of damage for that 84 machine, but does bring out the 2nd yellow for this race.
Yeah, that's kind of the same thing you saw with the 10 machine. He just drove it in too hard and into the on the entry here, and you just saw the back end just did not want to stick here. You see him using that wheel inside the cockpit to try to save the truck, and fortunately, just the truck kind of snaps on him. Away he goes, but good for him to get on the brakes here. Just basically kiss the outside wall with that tailgate. You're going to see a little bit of rear end damage from that contact, but definitely could have been worse for that 84, and good for him to get it back off the track to not collect anybody else.
Yeah, great job by him locking it down. Saw that 28 go right on by. I believe he was on the inside, but lap 14 at 225. Second yellow of the race so far. Sorry, not Bryce Dickinson. Joe Hudson still out front with Ira Colas making his way up to second.
Yeah, Bryce will claim that caution. So for people that aren't aware for the Sweet Tea Gang Truck season, really for all the SSR series here, what the race control will ask is they'll ask the driver, hey, for anybody that's involved, or anybody that was that got caught up in that wreck, they can ask, hey, would anybody like to claim that caution and make it their fault, and in order to take blame to, like, I wrecked, I deserve a penalty or that sort of thing. And if they do claim that caution, they do get a NEOL. And Bryce claimed that. No claim for that first caution between the 10 and some of those other drivers. But Bryce claiming that caution, you get two claims. And then if you cause another one after that two, you will be asked to park the truck for the night. And yeah, you'll have to take that truck home, potentially with it still being raceable. But that's a kind of a 3 strikes and you're out rule for the truck series.
Yeah, very cool rules for SSR. Very kind of unique, and I think it allows some of these drivers to kind of talk on their own, and I think it's really unique and great job by the admins. Something I do want to mention is Lane Phillips was sort of third on that last restart. It's fallen back to 6th. That is a playoff driver. We saw him. He was lined up behind Colin on the inside, and Colin didn't get a good restart, so that also shuffled Lane back because of it. But Lane Phillips will be starting in that 6th position now for this next restart.
Yeah, we saw, well, I don't know if we saw it on the broadcast, but the 13 was blinking pretty bad. And I think it just kind of forced Lane to kind of lay back and let that 13 to do that kind of picks itself out, because from a driver perspective, when someone blinks like that, it's just super hard to race around, especially at a track like Bristol, where, I mean, inches could ruin your race. And with someone blinking out like that, it could definitely hurt your performance, hurt your truck or whatever. So definitely not over for here. I think Lane's probably doing the best job he can to maintain these tires and keep that truck underneath him here. We see Joe Hudson once again elect the top here, as the pace car is going to take that hard right turn off once again, going to the Geico restart zone. And we're green once again.
Great jump by Joe Hudson once again, as William McKellar follows him on that outside lane. Now he's on the outside of Ira Colas for that 2nd position. He's going to clear him. So William McKellar up to that 2nd position. Great job by him very early on in this race.
Yeah, up 6 spots for that number 75 machine. And we saw him being aggressive using that top just to get the track position back. Now he's in P2. I don't know if he wants to go and chase down your race leader, or if he's content just kind of riding around. He did use his stuff up a little bit more than all these other guys did. I think right now it's probably the best bet for him to kind of run that bottom, try to save his equipment a little bit.
Yeah, field is now single file. We're just seeing, a few drivers ripping the top, most drivers ripping that inside. William McKellar's kind of ripping that middle lane a little bit higher than Joe Hudson is. Now he's on the top, competing for that first position as he has a run going into turn 3 and 4 here, and he has to let off just a little bit because of Joe. But now coming out of turn 4, Joe Hudson still the race leader with William McKellar right on his tail.
McKellar's not worried about his equipment right now. He wants this lead, and he wants it now. When you see him continue to run the top here, you see Joe being a little defensive, trying to block that run here. But here comes the 75 on the outside.
Them side by side is letting Ira in that 3rd position catch up just a little bit, but the 75 gets a huge runoff corner and will clear Joe Hudson for that lead. So William McKellar, now our race leader on lap 23, coming to 24 of 2:25.
75 out front. He's actually starting to pull a little bit. rest of the field here. So you can tell he's definitely not worried about saving his tires right now. Maybe that's part of the strategy. He might be trying to do an extra stop here and just try to, you know, run as hard as he can. Maybe take an extra stop or two and just kind of abuses his tires the best he can here. Ira Kolas gets around the 49 for that P2 spot.
Dickinson took a big slide in the back, but kept it straight. Great save by him once again. Like Christian just said, Ira Kolas making his way up to that second position after running the outside lane, passing Joe Hudson. We see Joe, you know, he's letting them by. No problem. He's trying to save his stuff on that inside lane. He's like, those guys are racing too aggressive early on. They're going to burn up their stuff, and I'm going to be better in the late run. As we see, whoa, Ira Kolas, big slide, saves it, but will lose that second position. So Joe Hudson will move up to that second position once again here at Bristol.
Yeah, Ira's going to slide back all the way back to the P7 spot. Now, almost a second behind the race leader here. So, I mean, he lost a ton of time here. And now he's going to have to worry about pulling off those tires.
Was just carrying a little bit too much speed and lost it on his own. William McKellar over a 2-second lead now from Joe Hudson. As we see, he's still ripping that outside lane. Super fast lane, but like we've mentioned many times before, will beat up your tires a little bit as he's now made his way up to almost a 3-second gap on Joe Hudson. But yeah. William McKellar, the dominant truck at the moment.
Yeah, the name of the game is how far can he get before those tires start to wear out to where Joe and Lane and all these guys back in second, third, fourth, and even fifth can get to him? Can he, you know, abuse his stuff and then kind of just, you know, get in a big enough gap to where by the time the green flag pit stops come around, it won't really matter, or they'll be even. So I'm interested to see. I mean, he's consistently running 3-4 tenths quicker than the field here, and he's continuing to pull a gap on the rest of the field.
If I was William McKellar, you realize you're almost 4 seconds ahead of the field. I think you would, right about now, you know, you've ran a lot of laps on the top. I think you would cycle down to that inside lane and just try to save a little bit, but start running that outside lane. And Colin Johnson, actually, in that third position, moves up to the outside lane now on the outside of Joe Hudson for second, and he's going to get it. So Joe Hudson, letting another driver, I wouldn't say bye on the outside technically, but definitely letting them by no problem.
You're going to see the 6 try to close in on Hudson now. You see the 13 right behind the 6 as well. So I think right now some of these guys are on attack mode. They see that Joe's hyper saving, trying to keep it good here, but you see some of these drivers trying to pounce, maybe they just figured out how the truck wants to drive now, and they know that they can push a little bit harder. But you see Joe starting to get pressure from the 6. You see the 13 behind the 6, but the 13 blinking as we speak here.
Huge slide from Ira once again as he's going to cycle to the rear end of the pack. Again, Ira saves it, but out of turn 4 to another huge slide that we saw live. But great save by him, but it is going to cycle him back quite a lot of positions.
And now back in the 12th place, and now 12 seconds behind the race leader, so almost half a lap down just from those 2 slides. I was going to have to really do a good job, get those tires cooled back down, keep that car underneath him so he can, you know, not go at risk of going a lap down. The only car behind him is Sam Koolhaas, which we saw in our frame right there. But looks like a good battle for P4 going on right now. Well, for P3, as we see the 13 get around the 6, and now he's going to try to make a move at the 49 track.
Yeah, as we see a great battle for that third position. That's what it is. Just like she said, we see those 4 cars kind of together a little bit, and then that car behind it, I believe San Filippo is Russell Martin. But there goes the 13 on the outside of Joe Hudson once again. Joe Hudson still selecting to just stay on the inside, saving his stuff, which I think is a great option for the long run. So I think Joe Hudson is thinking ahead of some of these drivers, and I think he's doing a great job.
Yeah, the only issue I see with Joe doing that is if we get a caution now, all that savings kind of for nothing. Everybody's going to maybe come down here with 42 laps complete already and take tires, right? And then all that saving was for nothing. He gave up the lead for nothing here. So Joe definitely wants this race to go green so he can see that tire wear kind of run out here. You're going to see the 16 of San Filippo getting on them on the outside here. I presume you're going to see Lane try to make a move here when he gets to him. But yeah, Joe definitely putting himself in a position where he needs a long run for this strategy to work out.
Sam Kohlhaas ends up going a lap down behind William McKellar. So at first, I'd say truck that is going a lap down in this race, or that has gone lap down in this race, as you see William McKellar pulling away a little bit in front of him. In front of William McKellar is Ira Kohlhaas in that 29 truck, currently in that 12th position. We saw him running up front, and he made a couple of mistakes early on. As we see McKellar a little bit wiggly in the corner racing by him, but now riding on board with that 75 machine. You just see all those lap cars in front of him, including the 10. Took a slide there, so the 10 will also go a lap down here at Bristol.
And you see what, 3 or 4 cars that McCo's gonna have to navigate through the lap here. You see the 29, the 78, and the 84, all within, you know, a second or two of your race leader here, and he's gonna have to do a decent job of navigating through here. But with all that, even still, with all the lap traffic, still running semi-competitive times with the rest of the field here. Colin Johnson, right now your quickest driver, running 15.8s to your leaders 15.7s, but still doing a decent job trying to pull away from you from the pack here.
Yeah, great job by Colin Johnson. We saw him ripping the top, catching up to our race leader now, William McKellar. The tire fall off is starting to get to him just a little bit after ripping the outside lane for about, I'd say, 25-30 laps here straight. So still in that outside lane, but tire fall off definitely becoming an issue for that 75 machine, our race leader, right now here. So on lap 50 of 225.
Yeah, I mean, McKellar had almost a 5-second lead here. Now it's all the way down to almost 2.5.
Ira Kohlhaas, another slide in front of the leader. That's his third mistake that we've seen this week, or not this week, this race tonight. So William McKellar, we saw him go by on his outside, but another mistake by Ira Kohlhaas, as now he has second place driver Colin Johnson passing him on the outside. So once again, Ira Kohlhaas, man, running second, he made some mistakes, you know. Just he has to put those behind him and just try to learn from it. And I think, you know, I think he can learn off it and succeed throughout this race still.
Yeah, the wheels kind of falling off the 29 car when it comes to track position and everything. I mean, just that truck out of control for the 29. The caution, you see the 67 stopped in the middle of the track.
Ty Dickinson stopped on the front stretch. Saw him in our camera shot right there. Man, yellow is out lap 54. That means all that tire saving that Joe Hudson was doing, like Christian said, just came to a close. He is still in that 5th position, which I wouldn't complain about, but all that saving for that late run just went to an end as we see Ty Dickinson, big slide off of turn 4. Man, what a hard hit into that inside wall. Almost came back up the track, but decided to put the brake down, and man, heavy damage to that front end. He's gonna have to go down in the pit road and try to fix as much as he can, because that was a huge hit here at Bristol.
Yeah, I mean, you saw everybody kind of slipping and sliding around there, and finally someone had to, you know, make that little mistake and got loose out of the corner there and just kind of got on the throttle a little bit too quick there, and the truck, the rears just couldn't take it. You saw that truck step out, and yeah, huge hit into the inside wall there, bringing out your 3rd caution of the race here. Ty does claim the caution, so he will get that EOL, even though he probably will be starting towards the back with that damage, but I presume he's going to come in, fix as much as he can here, but does take the EOL here, and yeah, caution out for the 3rd time here with 56 complete here at Bristol.
Yeah, William McKellar chose to pit there and brought the field with him. Everyone that was on the lead lap, so that's from William McKellar to Russell Martin in that 91 machine. Colin Johnson still in that 2nd position, and Brendan Honeycutt in that 3rd position, the 13. We saw him kind of making a run up front towards the end of that little green flag run there. So great job by Brendan now. Never mind, he's in 9th. Scoring had an issue there. Colin Johnson is 3rd. Bryce Dickinson is leading as he's selected to stay out here at Bristol.
Yeah, with pit stops underway here, I think we'll give a little bit of time to let our good friends at Scary Shokes give out their good words, and we'll see you guys at the other end of that. So once again, 57 laps complete here, and we'll see you right after this ad break.
Welcome to Scary Strokes, where fun meets fright, where every experience transports you to a world of fun. Play 18 holes of blacklight minigolf in ancient Egypt, a haunted house, and beyond the grave. Step inside our virtual reality arena, where you take control of video games and virtual worlds. Battle robots, shoot zombies, and compete against your friends. Throw your next birthday with our VIP party pack. Our party pros are ready to entertain you with a fright fest you'll never forget. Perfect for an action-packed date night full of flirty fun. Our state-of-the-art arcade has the latest games with the coolest prizes. Be sure to feast on some tasty morsels in the Graveyard Grill. So come on, bring your ghoulish gang over to Scary Strokes, where every experience matters.
Welcome back to Bristol here with now 59 complete here as we see William McKellar, be the quickest on out of pit road here. But we see Bryce Dickerson deciding to stay out here. 60 laps on those Goodyear tires. Definitely an interesting call here, but you're going to see some of these wave around cars past the pace car here. And now you're going to see that 84 lead the field here with 60 complete.
Yeah, as we're going into turn 3 and 4, William McKellar had the start of a lifetime. Took that lead very quickly. Now leading that lap 60 goes to that 75 machine as we see some two-wide action back there for 3rd, 4th, almost 5th. Lane Phillips was on the outside, got a little bit loose and falling back, but Brennan Sanfilippo makes his way up to that 3rd position in that number 16 Chevy.
Yeah, but I'm interested to see how much Bryce can hold on here. 60 laps, 62 now on those tires. It's got to not be driving probably the way he wants to, but right now currently has a decent gap to the P3 spot as the battling back there is from 3rd on back.
Yeah, as most of the field is single file besides Brandon Martin, who's kind of ripping the outside lane towards the end of the pack. But yeah, mostly single file throughout the field. Bryce Dickinson, like Christian said, 62 lap old tires, hanging on a little bit at the moment. I believe some drivers are selecting to save just a little bit while William McKellar's back to what he was doing last run and just ripping the outside line. So he's pulling away quite a few now.
Yeah, you see Russell Martin, I think, seeing what McKellar did right there, and he's starting to do the same thing. He's been ripping the wall since we started here. You see the 15 go up there and trying to make a block. But you see Russell doing, kind of doing what McKellar is, and now he's going to pass that 15 for that number 5th position.
Great job by Russell Martin. Ripping that outside lane. Takes a little scrape with the wall there, but we see the 16 machine jump high now trying to pass Bryce Dickinson, who did stay out, so now that's too wide for that 2nd position. We see Joe jump up on the outside in front of the 91 machine, so that's really the top 5 besides Joe, or besides Bryce, jumping up to that outside lane.
Yeah, I think they're going to definitely do the best they can to take advantage of that 84. They know he's got old tires. They know he can't really afford to defend or anything. He doesn't have the tires to do it anymore. So you're going to see them just jump up to the top here and just kind of cycle him to the back.
Yeah, there's Lane Phillips, 2nd in points right now. Currently running in that 7th position. So, he's stayed clean here at Bristol so far, which is, really good for him. Hasn't really been up front. Besides earlier on in this race, but over that green flag run, we saw him cycle out just a little bit, but now up to that 6th position after passing Bryce Dickinson, moving up throughout the field. I think Lane Phillips could be one of the trucks we see at the end of this night, possibly in Victory Lane.
I remember we talked to Lane in an interview last week when he got that podium at Watkins. He said that Bristol was not one of the tracks that he had circled on the calendar here, so I think right now Lane's doing a good job keeping that truck clean and doing what he can to put himself in a position here as we see Russell Martin trying to duke it out with that 49 of Joe Hudson for that P3 spot.
And Russell Martin succeeds, makes up that third position. Great job by Russell. Christian said that he noticed what William McKellar was doing and kind of learned from him, and is now ripping that outside lane, and he makes his way up to that third position. He started dead last, so great job by him from starting 15th and now running that third position. So props to Russell Martin so far in this race on lap 74.
Yeah, looking at the Discord, Russell did get, a little bit of an upgrade to his sim rig. Got, some triples set up finally for the first time. So I know Russell was definitely excited to try him out and stuff. And definitely you could tell that it's at least helping him be more consistent and driving up to the field here, Russell hasn't had the best season in the Truck Series, but now showing off a potential career day here at Bristol.
He's now trying to make the pass for that second position, trying to pass Brandon Sanfilippo. Who's in that 16 Chevy machine, as Brandon takes a little bit of a slide off of turn 4, but he is kind of holding Russell just as much as he can. He's doing a great job as compared to the other guys who Russell kind of just flew by really quick, and Brandon's not letting any of that happen. So great job by Brandon holding up this battle just a little bit.
Well, you're starting to see just even with this battle how easy it is to wear off the tires, because you're seeing now that the 16 for those couple of laps were kind of equal, even with the faster line here. You're going to see finally the 91 get clear here. But you saw, even what, 20 laps into this stint here, you even saw, the tires start to even out versus the top versus the bottom.
Yeah, I think McKellar's tires are starting to fall off a little bit too, as he's really only a second and a half, I guess, ahead of Russell, who's also running the top, but only 2 seconds ahead of Brandon Sanfilippo. So William McKellar also, I think we're going to see tire fall off really effective soon if we stay green and don't really get a yellow anytime soon. But still leading this race, has led the most laps. So William McKellar, our dominant racer of the night so far here at Bristol on lap 81, 82 of 225.
Yeah, I think this is exactly what McKellar wants to see, is someone that come up and drive to the field here, because he has the lead. He can kind of manage it now. Russ had to come up here and use the stuff up, I feel like, a lot more to get where he is now. And, he's probably used up more tires than even McKellar has. So now these guys that have saved their stuff are going to have to get around this 91, which is exactly what McKellar wants to see, is them battling out, using their stuff up while he's out here leading the race.
We saw William McKellar send Sam Colas a lap down once again, but we're back watching that 15 machine. Colin Johnson, we mentioned, he's not a playoff driver as he takes a big a slide out of, I believe that was turn 2, but keeps it straight. But like we mentioned earlier, not a part of the playoff race. He could be there at the end to kind of, cause a mix-up for some of these playoff drivers. It's definitely interesting as we see the 10 now in pit road of James Smith, as he has heavy left front damage. I'm gonna see exactly what happened and let you guys know. He took a huge slide off of turn 4 and had a huge hit into that inside wall, which kind of ripped off his front left fender, and heavy damage for James Smith. So not something James Smith needed this early on in this race, as now we're looking at the replay of it. You'll see him coming out of turn 4 and takes a big slide. Just, I think you see him taking it a little bit easy, and I guess he just pushed it a little bit too hard. You see he gets loose, tries to save it, and it just goes around. But heavy damage to that 10 machine here early on lap 88 of 225.
Yeah, you saw, the way he hit the wall, I really didn't, if he wasn't sideways enough for iRacing to get a caution, you saw Ty Dickinson do the same thing, but he kind of was sideways on the track when he bounced off it. You saw James kind of pancake the wall and kind of keep going there. So unfortunate for James, you saw we had a slide early in the race, and got caught up in a caution because of it. So definitely not the night he wants here, but McKellar's still out here leading the race. You still see Russell, he's actually started to even gap the P2 and the P3 and P4 drivers, almost a second gap to that P3 driver of Sanfilippo.
Great job by Russell Martin making his way up. I mean, he was in the second position, but gapping that third place, fourth place, fifth place driver. Something I do want to mention, we saw Ty Dickinson brought out that yellow with that hard hit. He's still in pit road, taking that damage. So now 23 laps down. Not something Ty Dickinson wanted this early on. Same with James Smith. We just saw take that big slide. He's now 7 laps down. So we've seen a few incidents early on in this race, and we've seen some good drivers. Races possibly going up in smoke here.
And we see the 6 car trying to run down the 49 of Hudson again. We saw Hudson still trying to do that same strat, trying to save the tires here, trying to keep that truck underneath them. And you're going to see the 6 potentially trying to pounce on this. We know Lane is also kind of in that tire saving strategy, but I don't think it's as aggressive as that number 49 machine.
Very, very interesting so far. As now we're looking at, oh, we saw the 84 go around there for a second. He reset it. Bryce Dickinson, who was running 9th, I believe. We saw stay out, and I guess he took a huge slide as we're looking at it now out of turn 4 again. So mostly slides out of turn 4, locks it up, little tap to that inside wall, toes it before yellow really comes out. So still green here at Bristol. I'm kind of shocked that wasn't really a yellow, since I mean he was on a complete stop for a good couple seconds there. But Bryce Dickinson, not something he wanted here at Bristol as well.
Yeah, I think the reason why it didn't come out is because it was technically, like you could say, technically off the racing line. You see that dark patch there, the apron. That is technically not considered the racing line there, and you saw that truck stop down there versus his brother Ty, who he kind of rolled back up the track, stopped, which is what caused that caution earlier. So I think that's really what, before we start racing lane, and then keep it green here, is that he's kind of off the tractor in a safe position here. As you see the 16 make a move for the second spot. Here you see Russell Martin in the wall here, and you're starting to definitely see the tire wear come in effect here.
Huge fall off. William McKellar now dropping back big time as Brandon's catching up heavily, as we saw. And I believe we're on a 40, almost 50 lap run here. And we know William McKellar and Russell were ripping the outside lane, and we know, they could do it for a little bit, but was not going to last them a while, as now that is coming into play, and Brandon is catching up to that race leader quick here at Bristol.
They see the 15 underneath the 91 here, looking for that P3 spot. The 15 kind of in a hybrid position. We saw him run the top a little bit. We've seen him run the bottom a little bit. And now I feel like this is going to be the challenge right here, is to get around this 91, who's doing a pretty good job running the top here. And I know Colin hasn't been hyper saving like some of the other drivers are. You're going to see him try to get clear here out of 4, and he will. That 15 is going to move up in the P3 and bump that 91 down.
The yellow was out.
Yellow.
Oh, it's Ira. Ira Colas in the 29 machine. Stopped on the backstretch, brings out the yellow flag here on lap 103. 104 now. Sorry, 105. Ira was a couple laps down there. But yellow flag is out once again. You see him. This is entering 1 and 2. Before he takes the slide, you see him, running that inside lane. I guess just puts a little bit too much power on it, locks it up, slows it down, tries to bring it down on the apron, and since that rear end was just poking out from that inside, the yellow is comes out here at Bristol. So leaders going in. William McKellar, thankful for that yellow to come out. Same with Russell Martin Jr. after tire fall off was coming into play there. But William McKellar, very happy to see that yellow flag come out here on lap 105.
And now that's the second time that McKellar and now Russell has gotten bailed out by the caution coming out. Those both those two were getting run down pretty quickly there. You saw that the 16 and the 15 get around the 91, and you saw the 16 catching the 75 very quickly there. So once again, McKellar, getting bailed out right here, and that's exactly what he wanted to see there. Unfortunately, once again, that's not what Joe Hudson, I think, wanted to see. I think him and Phillips were trying to do their best to maybe save tires there, like they were last time. So fortunately, some of those drivers who were trying to save got the caution that they did not want.
Yeah, as Colin Johnson, first position now, leading Lane Phillips. Also up to that second position, William McKellar, who was our race leader, goes back to that third position. So very, very interesting. Still a Chevy leading. I think Chevy has really led this entire race. I don't think we've seen a Toyota or a Ford lead any laps just yet. As actually, no, I think Bryce Dickinson, when he stayed out in that Ford machine, I guess you can say he led a couple laps. But some drivers who were involved in wrecks earlier, like Ty Dickinson, 35 laps down, he's now back out on track. James Smith has left the session, so his race is over. And Bryce Dickinson, who we saw took that slide before the yellow came out, is now 9 laps down. So, but he's on track. So most of the drivers back out on track here at Bristol as we are going to get ready to go back 1 to green. Very, very interesting, though, as we see Lane Phillips back up to the front.
Yeah, you see Colin and Lane up here in the top 2. They did not pit, so they have 52 laps on the tires, kind of doing the same strategy that Bryce Dickinson did. Instead of 62, now 52 laps. We saw Bryce try to hold his own there, but once again, with these fresh tires, they can just easily just go around on the top here. So I'm interested to see with both of these two staying out here, it's going to be a little bit harder versus just the one truck like last restart. You see lights are off on the pace truck here. Coming out of 2 here, and yeah, now it's a Ford going to be in the front row once again, but as you talked about, Gavin, Chevy powerhouse for the most of this race.
As we are getting ready to go back to the green flag here at Bristol. Once again, like Christian just mentioned, Chevy versus Ford front row. Colin Johnson, we saw, has been very fast so far this race. Lane Phillips, we've seen him be a little bit fast here too. But Colin Johnson leading us to this green flag here. Back green at Bristol. Colin Johnson gets a huge jump. Lane Phillips doesn't get the jump he really wanted as William McKellar was going to look to his inside. Colin Johnson out front here at Bristol.
You're going to see the 16 of San Filippo use that top with those fresh tires to try to make up time here. You see McKellar kind of in a compromised spot, forcing him to run the bottom somewhere he hasn't been before.
Lane Phillips up to that lead there for the first time this race. Great job by Lane. We saw Colin was not able to get, as a huge block by Lane Phillips. He cuts off the nose of the 75. The 75 goes around. He's going to keep it straight. But now we see the 15 get turned of Colin, and the yellow flag is going to go out after Colin Johnson looked to be turned by, I believe, the 91 machine of Russell Martin coming out of turn 2 there. But man, that just all happened really, really fast. As we saw, once again, Lane Phillips pulled a big block and then kind of cut off the 75's nose. 75 kept it straight. 15 was checking up. And yeah, that's just what caused everything. Is now we're looking at the replay. You see Lane Phillips' huge block out of turn 4, and I guess just thought he was clear or something, but chopped off the 75's front bumper. You see the contact right there on the outside between the 91 and 15. 15 goes around, and the yellow flag is out once again. Man.
It looks like the 15 just kind of was trying to react to the 75 and tried to go up there and give him space, and unfortunately the 91 with momentum off the top was there and just kind of got in the back of the 15, and unfortunately around the 15 win, I felt like it would have stayed green if that didn't happen, but it just looked like calamity ensued once the 75 got upset from that block from the 6, and fortunate, but yeah, I mean, Lane will keep the lead here, but now you have San Filippo going to move up to that second place spot.
Very, very interesting. I believe that is our 4th, maybe 5th yellow of this race on lap 114 of 225. Lane Phillips, though, like we mentioned, now back up to that lead with Brandon San Filippo in that second position. It's like Christian just said. And man, this race with the 75 now after that incident, he's still in 5th, but cycling back just a tiny bit. That kind of changes up a few stuff, and it's going to be interesting to see what he does here.
Yeah, I mean, he has the freshest tires here, so I feel like he can take advantage of it here, and it shouldn't be that hard to get around the 6. I mean, we saw the 6 get a decent jump on the restart, but I don't think that is going to be an issue with someone with that push of tires to get around someone with what. Now 60 laps on those tires. It's going to be kind of the same thing you saw with the 84 of Bryce Dickinson, but now with just a different driver.
As the pace car lights are going to get ready to go off, and we're going to go, 1 to green here next time by. Man, Lane Phillips once again is going to lead us to the green flag. It's going to be interesting to see what lane he chooses to start in. With that 16 behind him, who's very consistent on the outside lane. Same with the 91 and the 75 in that 5th position. So very, very interesting as we are getting ready to come back to the green flag. And this race, you know, we're coming to 100 laps to go here pretty soon, and it, you know, this race has gone by pretty fast, even with these yellow flags. And you know, it's been interesting. We've seen strategy come into play with the 75 running the outside, and some of the drivers selecting to run the inside and save their tires. But once again, pace car lights are off. It's going to be Ford versus Chevy front row, and I am going to hand it to Christian Delgado here to lead us to the green flag once again.
Pace car is going to take that hard left turn going into the pit road here to get there. Now Lane versus Brandon here. Ford versus Chevy. Old versus new tires, and we're green once again here. Huge jump by the 6 machine.
Huge jump by Lane Phillips, already a couple car lengths out in front. And here comes the 91 in that second position. That is Russell Martin, who, you know, once again, we mentioned earlier, did not qualify. Started in last and making his way back up to the front once again. Great job by Russell Martin. This is going to take that 2nd position now. Battle for 3rd is underway between the 75 and the 16.
Yeah, look at McKellar already looking his way.
Oh,
the
big
91
slide!
seconds.
Oh, and he has just barely taps the inside wall. There's the 91 machine. As he's going to try to keep it going as we stay green. You know, luckily no damage on that truck, but he is very close to going to lap down as Lane Phillips is now entering turn 3 for us. The 91, or sorry, Lane Phillips is exiting turn 2 as the 91 exits just right before that.
As we saw Russell slide there, we missed the 75 making that pass for the P2 spot. And now you're going to see him try to hunt down that Lane Phillips machine once again, and I don't think he's going to be as nice as kind as he was the first time. You know, we saw him, he was driving a little angry there, trying to get through the field here. And we know he's got a fast truck, you know, led them the most laps of the race here, and we know that he wants to lead as much laps as he can here. Remember, we talked to him last week, and he going into the playoffs, and he said, I just want to win. I want to get that win out of the way, lock myself into the next round. And you see that's definitely what he's doing. He's trying to grab the truck as hard as he can, try to put himself in a position to win here at Bristol.
You know, both Lane Phillips and William McKellar are both fabulous, amazing drivers, clean drivers too. But you know, if I'm Lane Phillips, I'm a little bit scared. You know, seeing that 75 coming in fast on the outside lane, and that yellow that happened not too long ago between both the 6 machine and the 75, where the 6 was kind of racing a little bit aggressive and put some blocks there. If I'm Lane Phillips, I'm scared because you don't know what the 75 is going to do. You don't know if he's going to race you clean or maybe get his get back on you after that last incident.
Yeah, well, you have to think about these two are in the playoffs. They have to race around each other for the rest of the season to potentially race for the championship, really. I feel like it's between these two and Joe Hudson for this championship with how consistent everybody's been running. And Joe currently in P5, but these two right now, as we have
out
once again.
It's Brandon Honeycutt. Brandon Honeycutt. Man, we've seen all these slides out of turn 4. Looks like he took another slide out of turn 4. That's pretty much where we've seen most of our slides here tonight, as he might have had a little bit of help from the 78. As we're going to try to go back just a tiny bit more as we kind of missed it for the broadcast. But I think he might have had some help there as we're going to take another look here. As you see, he's coming out of turn 2 onto the back stretch. The 78's kind of further on back there. I think this is the lap prior. 78's coming in pretty fast. That Toyota machine, as you see him, he's rolling in that 13. And now coming into turn 4 here, it's, you know, he's sending it in hot. It's very interesting to see, how fast he is on the on the inside compared to the 13. You see Joe in that 49 right behind him, but here it is into turn 4. You see he's fast. Oh, a little bit of net code there. Didn't really make contact, but Iris took it as a contact and sent the 13 around as I believe this is our 5th yellow of the night so far here on lap 129 of 225.
We hear Barry over the comms trying to decipher whether that was his fault or not. He said, I got into the back of him, but he kind of right after the corner, it looked like he had saved it and then kind of spun it out on his own. So people trying to decipher whether he needs to take the claim or not, or if he's going to leave it be right now. With all that being said, McKellar going to come out here and lead once again. I think that will force Lane Phillips and Colin Johnson down pit road as they were down pit road, and now they're going to be the guys with the fresh tires with about 20-25 lap fresher tires compared to your leaders here.
Yeah, very, very interesting. William McKellar, dominant racer so far for this night. We've mentioned it so many times, ripping that outside lane. Very consistent up there. But once again, tire wear, as we've also mentioned many times, does come and play here at a short track like Bristol. As the marbles are beginning to line up on the outside lane, it's going to get a little bit slick up there throughout the end of this race, as we might see that come into effect pretty soon.
Yeah, I mean, you have to think about the marbles on the top. You see them physically up there. What happens is when you burn off the rubber, you see those dark patches on the top of the track there. They just basically kick all that dead rubber up there, and when you go up there and run the top, you can easily pick that up, and it really does make the car not drive as well up on the top. That's why the tire wear is worse. It's because you're picking up all that dirty debris and stuff up on the top there, and kind of putting it on your tires, kind of like glue and sticky tack. And that's why a lot of people don't run up there, is because it's faster, but it does burn off the stuff more because of all that dirty stuff up there on the top. But you do see the pace car, the lights off on the pace car. Now you're going to see the 16 and the 75. Once again, another Chevy front row here. Pace car is going to make that hard left turn. Geico restart zone. And once again, McKellar's going to lead us to green once again here. Great jump by him.
16, not a good jump. And that kind of checks up the inside lane behind him, which is Barry Stevens, was lined up behind him. He did not get going either. And everyone behind him, you see that gap between that 3rd and then that 4th position, as we're side by side for the lead between Joe Hudson, who we saw he was saving his stuff earlier on, and now he's trying to race up for that lead against William McKellar, who are 2 top contenders in the playoffs right now. They're 2 drivers who are facing for that championship. Man, this is interesting.
Yeah, Joe was shot out of a cannon here at the restart, and you're going to see him continue to be side by side here. Bottom versus top here. You see Joe get a good run on the bottom here, but you see McKellar still prevailing on the top.
Yeah, they're still pretty much even, though we're not really seeing the outside lane prevail like we did earlier. And that really shows how much that outside lane may have fallen off, as a big wiggle by the 75 slows him down a little bit there in the corner, letting the 49 pull out in front just a tiny bit. As now Joe is going to clear the 75 and take the lead.
Yeah, Joe leading for the first time since, he sat on pole here. Now you're going to see, now maybe the tire wear starting to come in effect. Remember, we did run about 20 laps here. Joe did not try to push that truck as hard as maybe McKellar did. And you're already starting to see him start to gap the 75 just a little bit, even running the bottom.
Very, very interesting. Joe Hudson now leading this field. First time we've seen him leading laps here tonight. William McKellar, though, not giving up. Still putting on that battle as they're really pulling away from the rest of the pack. That 3rd position is almost 3 seconds back. That's Brendan Sanfilippo.
Sanfilippo, as you said, like almost 3 seconds back here, kind of running his own race here. You see Barry Stevens, who was caught up in that wreck earlier here, now up to the P4 spot, and Lane Phillips in that P5 spot. See Brandon Honeycutt a lap down in between these lead lap cars here, but he is a lap down in 10th place, so not in that 5th place spot like you'd expect him to be, but 1 lap down in that 10th place spot.
Last lap into turn 1 and 2. Joe Hudson chose to run that outside lane, and William McKellar went to the inside, and that caused William McKellar to lose a lot of time. But Joe Hudson back to that inside lane, and William McKellar is back on that top, trying to catch up, as he does a little bit there that last lap. But very, very interesting seeing these front two kind of battle it out.
No, I like that move of Joe trying to run the top here, trying to see, okay, I mean, McKellar's been running it all race. Let me see what it's all about. You've seen him run the bottom all race in that 49 machine. Put up there trying to feel what you need to do to run the top here. Something I definitely agree is a good strategy here, because if you need to, we know the top's faster, and if you know how to run the top fast, it could be a race-winning decision here. But you still see McKellar like the top here and trying to reel this 49 back in here.
Yeah, like I said, very, very interesting seeing both these front two drivers run in separate lanes, but we see the 75 kind of running faster, as we saw Joe Hudson kind of went up to that middle lane to try to get a better exit, and it succeeds. Prevails, I should say. So now he's running the top in front of William McKellar, trying to chop him off, not trying to let him by. As, man, this battle is going from good to great.
You see McKellar, he should get a run here. Not good enough to get side by side though, but you're going to still see Joe go up there and try to pinch him up.
Oh, the 75, big wiggle, loses a lot of time out of turn 2 because of that block Joe Hudson put there. As, man, now he's starting to gap the 75. If I'm the 75, I'm not too happy with that move by Joe. Yeah, Joe, you know you haven't been up front. William McKellar, you've led a lot of laps, but doing that on lap 148 is a little bit risky, because that could have not only wrecked the 75 machine of McKellar, and you're racing with him for the rest of the season, or it could have wrecked the both of you.
Yeah, you saw McKellar kind of forced it back out there, and when he backed out, it really set the handling of that truck, and now he's starting to fall back a lot here. Now he just needs to get, you know, the belts tightened back up and try to run this car back down. We know he's quick on the top, and now, you know, Joe running the bottom, it's going to save a little bit better now, but if William wants any chance at getting back to them, he's going to have to start sending some lap times down.
Yeah, still Joe's running that inside lane. It's really the only battle on track, besides, you know, we see a battle for fourth between a couple cars there. I mean, they're still single file, but they're really all together. You know, not really doing anything, as our fourth place driver Barry Stevens takes a slide in the middle of 3 and 4, loses a little bit of time, and lets Colin, you know, get up to his rear bumper.
And Johnson on the rear end of the 75 here, looking something here. You see the 75 choose the top, 15 chooses the bottom. They're going to be side by side. The 15 makes the pass.
Yeah, the 78 of Barry Stevens washed up the track. As he washes up the track again, and now Russell Martin's on his outside, trying to pass him for that 4th position.
You're going to see that number green and black 91 machine and get around him on the top here. You're starting to see that number 75 start to slide back here from that 4th place spot that he had been sitting in for so long.
Yeah, the 78, you know, we saw him. He was running 4th. Great job. We saw him have a great restart and push up through the field, and that's all just falling apart at the moment. Still early on, and that gives Colin Johnson a chance to try to catch up to the 16 machine.
You see a battle here between the two siblings of the Kohlhaas siblings, Ira and Sam, back here for this P8 spot. Side by side here in the back. You see the 29 with the run off the top here, trying to look here. Nothing much. You see Lane Phillips back here as well in that 7th place spot. Lane just not having the run we expected him to have here. Now Lane's gonna get passed by Ira here. Yeah,
Ira Kohlhaas passed Lane, now 157 of 156 here for Ira. And man, we saw Ira running 2nd early up front, made some mistakes. I think he's, you know, learned off of that and tried to be better. And you know, we've seen him run clean. He has a lap car in front of him of Ty Dickinson. As Ty very loose on the outside lane. Brendan Honeycutt's in front of him though, and there's just a lot of trucks out there, I mean, to look at with how much racing we're really getting. Brendan Sanfilippo is catching our race leader and our 2nd place driver, William McKellar.
You saw huge damage on that 75 machine. Barry Stevens, we saw he was starting to struggle there, but you see him down to...
William McKellar, trouble. William McKellar, I'm not exactly sure what happened, but loses a lot of time and lets Brendan Sanfilippo go up to that 2nd position. I don't know if fall-off was just that bad, as no, now taking a look at it, he took a big slide in 1 and 2. Great save by him, but man, huge slide for the 75 machine of McKellar. As now he's about to get passed by Colin and maybe even Russell.
There's the 75 under attack by the 15, and now the 91 looking behind here. And I mean, definitely those tires are starting to heat it up, trying to make that time back up to the 49. Now you're starting to see the damage that was paid for it. So maybe a race-winning move by Joe, but now maybe a race-ending move for McKellar here in the 75. You see the 91 looking underneath here for that P4 spot.
As I'm expecting, most of these trucks are good on fuel, but with how long this green flag run is, tire wears is definitely going to be a thing, and really who saved the best tires is going to win here. I think Joe has the lead. You know, we see him running the inside. I think he's saving. He's a smart enough driver. You know, you have a 2.5 second lead on the second place driver of Brandon, who's pushing as hard as he can right now. And you got to save really as much as you can for, you know, you still got a long race ahead of you. You know, in that lead.
Yeah, with 60 to go here, I mean, you could potentially see some guys try to pit around here and maybe split this race in half, and you know, you will go a lap, 2 laps down here, but you might see some guys come down here pit road and maybe take the gamble to get the fresh tires and maybe try to drive your way up through the field. You know, it might seem kind of crazy, or why would you pit when you don't need to, but you know, you see in real life where some drivers, where some teams in these longer races will actually go and pit in extra time, and it'll just be faster, and you can just unlap yourself and then drive up to the field.
McKellar now being passed by the 13 machine of Brandon Honeycutt. Is a lap down, but right behind Brandon, now behind McKellar is Ira Colas, who is on the lead lap, and right behind Ira is Lane Phillips. So William McKellar saw him running so well and just had that battle with Joe Hudson. I think that his tires a little bit. He's still running that outside lane, which I'd say William McKellar, if I'm him, you know, you got a long run ahead of you, I'd cycle down to that inside lane, because just if you're running that outside lane over and over and over and over again, your tires are just gonna get junked.
Yeah, I think if anybody is going to try to make that move to come down pit road and split this one in half, it's probably going to be him. You see that truck is driving well, and we know he has the speed on the freshies to come out and do something right now. I mean, he definitely used this stuff up trying to get up to the 49, and now it's starting to fall back even more as you see the number 6 machine get around.
Yeah, as once again, Joe Hudson, our race leader, running that inside lane, is getting caught up by our second place driver of Brandon Sanfilippo, but he is pushing as hard as he can in that 16 machine of Brandon, as Joe Hudson working his way past a lap car of Sam Colas, who is now going to go a lap down. He's running an 8th right now. So very, very interesting as Joe Hudson is you know, lap traffic.
Well, lap traffic's going to be big here, and you saw Sam be pretty cordial. We know that he knows that Joe wanted the bottom, gave him the bottom, let him go. I mean, Sam obviously doesn't have really the pace, unfortunately, tonight to be competitive and run up here in the top 5. Still, you know, a good top 10 spot here, but unfortunately, just hasn't figured out a way to get around here as quickly as he probably wants to. You see him being pretty cordial, trying to let these guys by to the best of his ability, and yeah, Joe did a good job. Brandon did a good job getting around Sam, and now the race continues here. You still see Brandon run, you know, off and on around the same lap times as the race leader.
Yeah, Brandon, only a second and a couple tenths off, but back to running around the same times as our leader, like Christian just said. As Joe Hudson takes a huge slide in turn 2, I think he's going to lose a little bit more time after that. I wouldn't say huge slide, I'd say a little bit of a minor slide there, but I think it definitely slowed him down just a tiny bit.
Yeah, that cuts the lead down under a second now for the 16 machine. So he's going to start to be in the camera shot when we go to some of these shots here. So, I mean, Brandon definitely doing a good job trying to run the leader down now into the 8/10ths category, even low 9s. So, totally reeling your leader in. Got a 10th quicker that lap, and has been consistently around a 10th quicker each lap here. So I don't know if Joe's the handling is just falling off, or if Brandon just pushed a little bit harder than the race leader is right now.
Yeah, very, very interesting. Joe Hudson, I think, you know, like I mentioned many times, I think Brandon is pushing way harder than, you know, if I'm Brandon, then I would. It's Joe Hudson still has a huge, I wouldn't say huge, but near a second lead, and he's saving. So it's not like a big difference between Brandon and Joe, with Brandon pushing as we see the 67 who is 36 laps down. He decides to pull in the pit road, maybe to take some tires. Maybe he's parking it. Not the race he wanted, but very, very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, that's just Bristol for you. You're gonna see, you know, the calamity here is of Bristol. You know, there's some people that love this track and can really master this, and there's some people that just come here and just want to get through the rest of the race here. And unfortunately, Kai, you know, on the latter half of that situation where he's just trying to make it through and try to finish the race here. It's so tough to, you know, put a complete race together here.
Yeah, as we're nearing 200 laps to go, Willie McKellar just wins him. He's in the outside pole, so tire fall off is definitely coming into play. As he's still in that outside lane. I think if you're the 75, I think you'd put it into play that that's not working out anymore. But very confident with that outside lane. Joe Hudson, race leader, not too far back behind him.
See Lane Phillips trying to pressure the 91 here, Russell Martin for that P4 spot. You saw Martin getting into the wall there and allowed Phillips to close in. And now you see Phillips on the bottom, Martin on the top. Martin's going to get a run off, but not enough to get underneath the 6. The 6 is going to clear here and take that P4 spot away.
Great job by Lane Phillips in that number 6 machine. Passing the 91, very clean. You know, we've mentioned Lane Phillips, super clean driver. We saw him make a little bit of a mistake early on in this race, so it's McKellar. But overall, very clean driver. It's great to see him each week racing, because, you know, he's pretty much good at nearly every track. We heard that Bristol's really not the best track for him, but in that 4th position, I don't think he's doing half bad.
Yeah, I mean, right now you're just seeing that this is just a race of attrition, right? Lane, I mean, 5 seconds off your leader here, 6 seconds off your leader, but just keeping the truck clean and putting them in a good position here. Sitting in P4 spot, you see Cullen and San Filippo and Hudson. I feel like those are your fastest drivers besides McKellar, who's, you know, had the issues in the latter half of this race. But Lane right here doing a good job keeping the truck clean, just giving himself an opportunity, maybe even go up there and run for a podium if we get a late race caution here. But yeah, I mean, he talked about this not being his favorite track, and he just needs to get through this one. And did a really good job just maintaining his race, keeping that truck clean, and at least getting as much points as he can out of this race.
Joe Hudson now in the same corner now straight away as Willie McKellar, who was our driver running up with Joe Hudson at the beginning of this run, but still running the outside lane. Willie McKellar not succeeding in it, as he's in our camera shot now in front of the 49. As yeah, he's getting ready to go a lap down. If I'm Willie McKellar, you just gotta start running that inside lane and call it quits with that outside.
See, this really shows, you know, we see it in real life as well, that you can really run hard and be fast, but if you can't maintain the tires underneath there, you're gonna
on the wall.
You're gonna get caught pretty quickly. And now, like you said, he was leading the race, and now getting lapped by your leader, Joe Hudson. So that, I mean, that's just how hard it is to maintain and save tires here, and not only at Bristol, but just in general in any of these series. I mean, tire wear is just so something you have to think about at every track, and at really every series here. At least in the sim, it's just tire wear. You have to save the tires. You have to manage them the best you can.
30 laps to go, a little bit less than 30 laps to go now here at Bristol as Joe Hudson. Great job, you know. Christian was just talking about him, you know, tire strategy, saving tires. Joe Hudson has been our driver today, who's really showed us that, you know, he's great at it. But Brandon San Filippo is also up there too. Was running in that 2nd position, but he's now stuck side by side with the 75.
And we know McKellar's someone who's gonna race hard regardless of what he's racing with. I mean, and right now, just really, even if he isn't trying to race that 16 hard, the outside just has a better run off the corner. So we see the 16 get around to 75 here, and that actually cost him some time now. And you start to see Colin Johnston start to reel in that 16 machine.
Yeah, as Joe Hudson got by another lap car that was the 78 machine, Barry Stevens, who is in that 10th position. He's now going to go 7 laps down here at Bristol.
And you saw Barry with that contact and that damage had to come down and fix that car. You see a lot of left front damage on that number 78 tracker truck, and yeah, gonna get lapped pretty easily by everybody here. Even McKellar gets around it pretty easily, and that 78 just trying to run the laps out here, just trying to finish this one out.
Yeah, very, very interesting. Less than 25 laps to go now. Like Christian said, just trying to finish it out now. I think Joe, you know, he has this locked in if he doesn't make any mistakes, or if a yellow doesn't come out. So he's hoping to not see that yellow flag out from the flagman here on the front stretch. So if I'm Joe Hudson, you know, you're just praying, hoping that the race stays green.
Yeah, you're hoping the race stays green, but you also have to, you know, not kind of cruise around. I think San Filippo is actually a little bit quicker than your race leader here. Consistently running about the same lap time. They almost match lap times that one, and even then you see Colin Johnson actually running a little bit quicker than your race leader right there. So these top three are only within 2 seconds of each other. Can still, you know, start to get racy here towards the end of the race.
Yeah, you know, they're catching up. Is there enough time though to catch up? You know, we're coming up, you know, 20 laps to go. You know, do they have enough time? It's going to be interesting, and time will tell. You know, like Christian just said, Colin Johnson running a little bit faster than our leader, a little bit slower that last lap, but he's up there on pace, you know, to possibly get it done.
Yeah, I don't know if he'll have the pace. I mean, they're basically matching lap times now.
Oh, as we see the 29 go around. No yellow at the moment. As he's backing it up on the track, trying to get it around. He's going to get it around, and we're going to stay green. But, man, Joe Hudson was coming around the track and saw him stop there, and I bet his heart sank for a second after seeing that 29 stopped on the backstretch. Ira Cole has some problems. Once again, we've seen him have problems all race, and he just loses it on his own once again as a pretty significant hit on that inside wall. I think his damage should be okay, but coming to 15 laps to go now, our race leader Joe Hudson. It's going to be interesting, you know, after seeing one car go around. Could we see another car going around pretty soon? See maybe a yellow coming out.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, these cars definitely aren't going to be driving very good here. But now, I think it's safe to say now that Joe just needs to finish out this lap right now. Brandon is starting to falling off, or has not been able to close enough to get back to him. He's still sitting around that 1 second gap here, and even Colin still running about equal laps as these two. You know, was about a little over a tenth quicker than your race leader here, but he's 2 seconds behind your race leader versus Filippo, who's 1. So they really have to start clicking off some laps to even give themselves a chance here with going to 10 to go here.
San Filippo noticed that inside lane was not working, so he's moved to the outside lane to try to see if that's going to prevail a little bit. He gained a little bit of time that last lap, but not enough to catch our race leader by the end of this race. He's trying to get it done. He's carrying a lot of speed this lap. I'm interested to see what the gap will go up, and he gained nearly 2/10 that lap. So Brendan San Filippo looks to find his racing groove, and it's working little by little, but will it be enough with 10 laps to go now?
Yeah, the big thing you have to think about too, Joe's catching up on a pack of 3 here within the next coming laps here, and that's going to be a huge struggle for that race leader. I mean, you see the 3 cars. I think that's the 25 or the 28. I think that's the 91, and then there's another car in that pack there that the 94 I think is going to get to before the race ends here. and he can't really afford to kind of back off and kind of sit behind there because that 16 and that 15 are coming in a hurry.
Yeah, Brandon took a little bit of a slide and pretty much lost all the time he had gained. So he's back right where he started here, you know, when he moved up to the outside lane. But like Christian just said, Joe Hudson has those lap cars who are battling right now. Russell Martin and the 84 machine. The 84 of Bryce Dickinson is 8 laps down. You know, he's fighting for no given reason, I'd say, at the moment. But with the leader coming up behind him, it's going to be hard to get by.
Ira with another slide here. He's going to get it back around. Almost a caution. He was on the track there, but lucky for Joe, that was not a caution here. But Joe, going back to Joe, he's on these lap cars now, and hopefully these guys are single file now, which I would assume now they're going to let him go. The thing that was stressing me out for Joe was that they were side by side trying to battle here, and now I feel like they're just going to give Joe the bottom that he wants here.
Yeah, as Brandon Sanfilippo took another slide and lost a lot of time, as Joe Hudson has to check up a little bit for that 91. He couldn't get the exit he really wanted, which makes sense, but you think about it, he's having to battle the 91. He's going to have to get around the 91, but Brandon's going to have to do the same thing, and they're coming to 3 laps to go here, so I just don't think there's enough time for Brandon right now unless there's a yellow.
Yeah, you saw the 91 actually try to race the 49 there. Well, I know that, you know, he's trying to race to get back on the lead lap, but that's not something I expected Russell to do here, but definitely impeded that race leader here, but I don't think Sanfilippo has enough time here going. Now 3 to go, now 2 to go here at Bristol.
Yes, Joe Hudson getting ready to take us to this white flag. Joe Hudson doesn't really, I mean, he has a lap car on his side of Sam Colas, but not near him, as now he's going to take the white flag here at Bristol with a second lead here, and the second place driver, Brandon Sanfilippo, is stuck behind a lap car.
And coming into turn 3 and 4 here, Tire Strategy wins the game here, and it's going to win a race here and lock his way into the next round of the playoffs. And Joe Hudson, your winner at Bristol.
And Joe Hudson, we saw, you know, earlier on in this race, while everyone was pushing the outside lane as hard as they could, he was just saving, and he's proved that he, you know, succeeded, and he has succeeded. I mean, now he's a race winner here at Bristol, and he's gonna park that truck in victory lane. Man, great job. I see the 13 go by him on the outside. A lot of drivers congratulating him as he's gonna get ready to park it up the start finish and burn it down here at Bristol in that Chevy 49 machine.
I mean, what a strategy call for that number 49. As Gavin had said, you know, everybody tried to use the top and try to get out as much as you can, but he was the only guy that was kind of designated to run in the bottom. So you're gonna see him try to manage the tires the best he could there, and he did. So, but as we wait on everybody to get into the driver's room, let's go ahead and look at your race results, your unofficial race results, brought to you by High Velocity TV. Once again, Joe Hudson, your race winner here at Bristol. Brandon Sanfilippo, great race by him. You know, almost got it done there, but just not enough time here. Once again, Sanfilippo is one of your playoff drivers towards the bottom, so that's going to help him points tremendously. Colin Johnson, once again, we talked about him at the pre-race. Not a playoff driver and was in position to maybe steal one, but couldn't get it done here. Lane Phillips, second in points here. Good finish for him. Decent points day for him. And Russell Martin, going to round out your top 5. Brandon Honeycutt, P6. Sam Kohlhaas, P7. Ira Kohlhaas in P8. Barry Stevens, we saw him with that damage at the end there, P9. Bryce Dickinson, we saw him with a couple slides there, rounding out your top 10. William McKellar in that P11 position. Ty Dickinson, James Smith, Gavin, and James Smith is going to round out your field out of the race here at Bristol. Now, I feel like we have all of our guys in our waiting room, so we're going to go ahead and drag in your P3 driver of Colin Johnson. Hey, Colin, is Christian up in the HBTV booth? You got a copy?
Yep, I got a copy. You got me?
Yeah, I got you loud and clear. Well, I mean, a really good race for you. You know, qualified up in the top two position on that front row, and really up in the. I felt like in that top three, top four conversation all race. So just walk us through that you race and walk us through those last couple laps.
Yeah, I kind of got off strategy a little bit on the tires towards the end, and I think that kind of helped me out in the last run because I took tires at that very last caution, but I just couldn't run those guys down there the last few laps. I just kept making too many mistakes and heating my right side tires up and having to kind of slow back down and settle back in and then try again. But maybe just a little more time or something like that because I still had like 80 some percent left on the tires, and I think those guys are saying they're getting down in the 50s. So yeah, maybe a little more time, but yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, we saw you. You know, as you mentioned, take tires on that last caution, but we saw you and Lane Phillips. We saw you guys stay out on what 50 odd lap tires. Was that really that much of a disadvantage with those older tires, or was it a lot closer than we thought it would be?
So the very first time I went down and took tires at 50 something, doing the math, you need to be about 56 laps to split it even and take all your tires. And we had pitted about 52, and they were only at about like 92, 91% still. So I didn't think I wanted to take them there when we had another 50 lap stint. I was trying to stretch it out to about lap 150 and have a 75 lap stint to the finish, but the way the cautions fell, it ended up being about a 90 lap stint at the end.
Yeah, definitely a nice long green flag run there. We saw, you know, trucks getting sideways and stuff on their own. Really, the only caution we had from contact was with the 6 and the 75, and then we saw you get unfortunately getting your tailgate lifted off the ground by 91. It looked like just as a reaction from the from that spin of the 75, but yeah, you were able to drive through the field here and secure that P3 finish. But before we let you go here, anybody you want to shout out, any friends, family, sponsors, anybody watching at home?
Yep. So I want to definitely shout out Team Watson Racing Setups, Wild Gosling the Racing, and my wife for putting up with this, and then most importantly, my son up in heaven, George. His first race I've had a broadcast interview on since he's passed. So I'm definitely want to say something about him. So that's about it.
Well, I'm sorry to hear about your loss, but we'll be thinking about you and your family. But once again, a great P3 finish for you, go, and I will let you go celebrate with friends and family, and hopefully we can talk to you next week, maybe up here in Victory Lane.
Yep. Hopefully in Victory Lane next time.
Yeah. Have a good rest of the night. That was Colin Johnston, your P3 driver. Let's go ahead and drag in Brandon, in that who finished in your P2 spot. Hey, Brandon, it's Christian up here in the HVTV booth. You got a copy?
Hey, I do.
Well, a great P2 finish up here. You were semi-competitive all race up here. Really a top 5, top 4, top 3 truck here. We thought you might have had the speed to run down our race winner of Joe Hudson here at the end here, but walk us through your race and just walk us through what was going through your head those last 30 odd laps.
Yeah, I think once I caught up to him about a second and a half or second and 2/10 behind him, I think we kind of stayed there, neutraled out. But um, he used more tire in the beginning of that run, and I knew it, but I think I pushed it too early and burnt my tires up catching him too fast. And then I had nothing left to catch him. But good run by Joe. Um, good run by, can't remember who was in third there, Colin there, Johnston. Just an all-out fun track, a lot of clean racing, just all out, all out good crapshoot.
Yeah, we saw a lot of drivers, you know, getting loose especially at a turn 4 and self-spinning, and really that's what caused, I would say, the plethora of all the cautions too. So, what was the truck feeling like after, you know, some laps on him? Was it really that upset and getting really out of whack at a turn 4 there?
I think it was just the entry and then getting on throttle too early. Because once you wear them tires down, I think you can do a little bit more. Get on throttle a little bit more, add some heat into those tires. But especially on cool tires, man, it'll turn you right around. So you just gotta really play with the throttle and you got to adjust it all race depending on tire wear and temperature. So I think that's where it can get kind of crazy. People get caught up in, who they're racing at that point and kind of forget about it. But yeah,
Well, yeah, P2 finish for you is bittersweet. I mean, you could see the leader in your sights there. Um, I definitely looking from your side of the point. I was we saw those lap cars up ahead of Joe, and we saw them side by side. And when you thought I might have given you an opportunity to maybe pounce there, but unfortunately for you, we saw those lap cars kind of get single file, and Joe able to navigate through them pretty quickly there. But still a good finish for you in that P2 spot.
Yeah, I know when those lap cars were coming up, I'm like, man, this is my chance. Hopefully he'll get caught up there or something. But no, he did a good job getting around them.
Well, yeah, still you can't complain about a P2 finish. But before we let you go, anybody want to shout out any sponsors, any friends or family watching at home, or anybody you want to thank?
Yeah, I got friends and family watching. Appreciate it, guys. You guys for putting on the broadcast and the show. Um, love it. Thank you guys for doing that. John and everybody putting on the league. Just an awesome all-around league, and all the drivers out there tonight. It was definitely competitive, and it was fun. Looking forward to next week.
Yeah, we are looking forward to next week here. First round of the playoffs, a good race for you under your belt here. But we're gonna go ahead and drag you up, and you can celebrate with your family at home, and maybe we can talk to you maybe up here in Victory Lane next week.
All right, I appreciate it, guys.
Yep, you guys have a great race tonight. That was Brandon Sanfilippo, your P2 finisher. Now we're gonna bring in the man of the hour here, your race winner of Joe Hudson. Hey Joe, it's Christian up in the HVTV booth. Got a copy?
Hey, how are you, sir?
Hey, we're doing just fine. Probably not as good as you, but yeah, definitely interesting race for you. It seemed like you were really it looked like, at least for us, trying to save the tires the best. So you weren't really up towards the front most of the race until kind of that latter half. But walk us through that first half, and then walk us through that strategy to get yourself back up to the field.
Oh, well, the tires just didn't fall off. It was the previous build. It seemed like, you could kind of you give up a little bit of first 30 or 40 laps, and then everybody'd come back to you, and everything just, it didn't fall off. So finally, when we had about 100 to go or whatever, when we had that last restart, that was like 100 qualifying laps. I mean, and still, my tires were at like 85, 70. I mean, they just didn't fall off enough to make it. You had to have the track position and try to run. But I'm give out. I mean, I ran so hard because I could see Brandon coming in, my relatives, and yeah, that was work.
Yeah, we noticed throughout the race. We knew you were a quick driver. You obviously qualified on the pole here, and we saw you kind of sitting back there in that fifth, sixth, seventh spot, and really not moving your way back up here, thinking that you were trying to save tires. But hearing that information, that really the tires didn't really, they wouldn't fall back to you like we've seen before. That does make a whole lot of sense there. But that battle with McKellar, I feel like was the one thing that kind of sealed the deal with you. But you saw, McKellar used this stuff up so much that he actually, went a lap down to you on pace there. So that it was definitely interesting to see that.
Yeah, he went that high line, which was fast, but I mean, it really works the right front tire. So when I passed him, I got a little bit of lead, and then he ran me back down, and I moved up just for a couple of laps to try to run his line and hopefully wear his tires out a little bit. And then he faded back, and I was able to go back to the bottom because you could save a little bit more, I think, on the bottom than high, but it was really working the right rear more than any of the other tires. But it was yeah, we ran a race here before this last build, and I was like 2 seconds from going a lap down, and then in 60 laps I was in the lead. That's how much fall off there was. But here, after 50 laps, you could still run what you run on lap one. So it was crazy.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to hear. I haven't had as much experience in the trucks that I'd like to say I have, but definitely did not expect to hear that coming from our race leader here. But yeah, drove up through the field here. You qualified on pole. You led 113 laps, so almost half the race here, almost on that dot. So yeah, so still a pretty dominating performance. It's really you and the 75 who led the majority of the laps here. We saw some guys come and go, but yeah, still a great win for you, locking yourself into the playoffs. So that should be a huge relief off your shoulders.
Yeah, it's it's you win, everything else will take care of itself. But trying to recruit us a few more guys, and we need to get the 20-25 trucks out here every week, and it'll be make it a little more challenging points wise. But yeah, a win's a win. I mean, it's always good. And winning never gets old.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and I do would agree that more trucks always makes the racing more exciting, more challenging for you fast guys to try to, I feel like always having guys in here always just helps you get better and learn different characteristics about the track and how to run differently. But yeah, still a dominating win for you. But before we let you go, anybody want to thank? Anybody watching at home? Any sponsors? Any friends or family?
My wife and kids, they let me come down here 3-4 nights a week and pretend like I'm a real race car driver again. Everybody here at Slingshot and you guys for putting the broadcast on. So I run a couple other leagues that are not capped, and with star rating cap really makes it fun. It's a great concept. I said I wish we could recruit a few more guys, but John and the guys behind the scene, Ron Losey and Russell, they're working so hard behind the scenes, and they don't get enough gratitude, enough thanks. I really appreciate them. And like I said, the guys on my team, Complete Motorsports, we would have normally had John Fowler and the Forges here, but they all had some issues. But Lane Phillips, he's a force to be reckoned with, and all the guys that ran tonight ran really clean, and it was a lot of fun. And thank you guys again for everything, and we'll be back next week.
We sure will. But yeah, thank you for the kind words. And yeah, definitely have to give a huge shout out to all the admins and stuff here. But congratulations on that win. And I'm just going to let you get out of here and celebrate with friends and family. But hopefully we can talk to you maybe back in Victory Lane once again next week.
That's the plan.
All right. Have a good rest of the night, Joe.
Hey, you too. See ya.
Yep. And that was your race winner of Joe Hudson here. And that about wraps it up here. So once again, this is the Slingshot Cup Series. Slingshot Sim Racing Sweet Tea Gang Truck Series, not Cup Series. And obviously we're at Bristol here. But once again, my name is Christian Delgado, your head commentator here. We did have Gavin Austin in the booth here, but unfortunately he had to leave due to some unfortunate circumstances. Once again, Carter Kingsley, your producer in the back there running the cameras, doing a great job with that. But once again, have to give a huge shout out to all the sponsors here that helped put on this league. Scary Strokes, Anything EC, Race City Memorabilia, Papa Mike Promotions, all those guys. Obviously, Sweet Tea Gang for sponsoring this truck series. Have to give a huge shout out to John Ross, Ron Losey, Russell Martin for putting on this league and making it run as smooth as we are. But once again, my name was Christian Delgado, and from everybody over here in the High Velocity booth up here, you were watching the SSR Sweet Tea Gang Truck Series at Bristol. Hope everybody has a great rest of the night, and we'll see you guys next